Performance marketing is particularly valuable for app marketers as it lets them distribute ad spend efficiently, focus on a specialized audience segment, and optimize campaigns for post-install events. As a result, performance campaigns generate higher returns for every dollar of ad spend. How are app marketers navigating their way to the top of mindshare using performance marketing tools? You will get all the answers from a panel of experts. I would like to invite Satrajit Singh, Head Product and Community, ETBrandEquity, to moderate this discussion. Over to you, Satrajit.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the session where we'll be taking a deep dive into understanding how performance marketing can become a game changer, especially for app marketers. So not so long ago, marketers simply purchased ad spaces and they just hoped for the best with no guarantee of conversions or views or any downloads. Today, thanks to performance marketing and performance-based media marketing, the entire realm of advertising and marketing has transformed, and the field is growing at a fast and vast pace. Performance marketing is particularly valuable for app marketers, so as to say, as it lets them distribute the ad spends efficiently, focus on specialized audience segments, and optimize campaigns for post-install events. As a result, performance campaigns generate higher returns on every dollar that is spent. Today in this panel, we have experts across different segments and different sectors of apps who will basically help us understand how app marketers are navigating their way to the top of the mindshare by using performance marketing tools. Today, I'm honored to be joined by a panel of experts who have been leading their respective brands and businesses to the top of the app economy in this country. It's my great honor to introduce Mr. Advit Sahdev, who is the VP of Marketing at CoinDCX. My next panelist, Mr. Priyang Agarwal, Director of Marketing, Partnerships and Growth at Tata 1mg. Mr. Rana Vishal Singh, Head of Growth Marketing at Josh. And Mr. Karan Lakhwani, Head of Business Development at AppTweak. So welcome, gentlemen, and thank you so much for taking out time and basically helping us and our audience today to deep dive and understand the performance marketing world for app marketers. So thank you so much. So before we start, gentlemen, I'll basically want to come to all my panelists here and the brand representatives mainly, right, and try to understand how they have shifted their focus from the traditional metrics of performance marketing to something called ASO, the App Store optimization, because the brands that are represented in this panel today are mostly are all app first brands or app only brands, right? So in that sense, ASO becomes much more important for you all. So we would like to understand from maybe Advit first, right? So CoinDCX is basically a very niche category. It's kind of building the category, in India currently, right? So how do you see performance marketing as a whole, right, contributing in your brand growth and your mindset shift and your shift of marketing focus towards ASO?
So, like you rightly said, this is a category which is being developed right now. It is not really an established category. And also, given the regulations around this category, given that this category has gone through a lot of ups and downs in terms of the directions from RBI, the direction from Supreme Court, the lack of 100% clarity from the government, there have been a lot of different marketing approaches than any other brand. Right? So, for example, we have a lot of restrictions. So, for example, we are not allowed to advertise on Facebook or Google. Right? So that is one restriction that we have. Other restriction that we have is that a lot of brands are still on the edge where they say that, we don't know if you want to associate with a crypto brand or not. Same is true with a lot of large sponsors. So, for example, a BCCI or an ICC. Okay, so they would again have not really ICC, but BCCI. They would again have the same restrictions. Then again, the same is true with a lot of influencers, the category A celebs and so on, who also are, again on the edge or think 100 times before associating with a crypto brand. And so, given these restrictions, now what we do is we have to do a lot of innovations. We have to do a lot of optimizations, right? Because things don't come easy in terms of, the top channels are not available for us, right? So there we focus a lot on a few things, right? ASO is definitely one of them, right? And what we have experienced is there are a few factors in terms of ASO. One of the biggest things that we experience is the time spent inside the app. Right? So we are essentially a transactional app where people come and transact and then they leave, right? But there are ways by which we can make people spend more and more time in the app, right? And that is a very relevant factor for pushing ASO. That increases the ASO or the ranks to a substantial up rank. It pushes it up, right? That works a lot, which a lot of brands don't use. I'm not saying that no one uses, but a lot of brands don't use, or they're starting to use now, right? And that is something which is completely in our control. It is not something which is based on external promotions, right? The other thing which is also very, very important, again, which is in-app, and an in-app metric is how are our conversion funnels. So from an install to a sign up, from a sign up to a first deposit, right? How do we increase those numbers? The better those numbers are, the higher the ranking goes up on ASO. So, I mean, of course, the external factors remain the same. So I look at ASO exactly the same as SEO, right? Because the fundamentals remain the same. Google or Apple will essentially think that, okay, is this app really relevant for the person who's searching, right? And that is determined not just by external factors, which is, standard things like your keywords and metadata and all of that, but also the app usage. So most of our focus goes on the app usage and increasing the conversion numbers over there.
Right. So yeah. So a very pertinent point actually, because when you said that the basics of the fundamentals of SEO and ASO are quite the same. Does that the KPIs change, the platform changes in that sense. So this leads me to my next question to Priyang actually. So Priyang, in case of Tata 1 and G, you are one of the segment leaders, right? And for a brand which is kind of leading that segment. So how does it fall out, right? Basically, your change of focus from, as Advit said, from SEO to the ASO tools or the ASO metrics, right? How do you look at it, and how is Tata 1MG basically planning towards that?
Sure. So as you have said, no doubt that we are the leaders in the healthcare segment. But one thing that we have to understand as a marketing perspective, one thing that we should understand is that ASO or SEO or any other channel is a continuous process. No matter at what stage of business you are in, we have to do the ASO strategy. We have to implement the SEO strategy again and again, and for a continuous period of time. As far as ASO is considered, I personally believe that ASO is a very important tool for any mobile marketing company or app specific companies. The reason is simple. See, ASO is not only getting the rank up on the Google search. ASO is also about reviews and the ratings. So when you are getting a good review or the good ratings on the Play Stores, Google understands that these are the apps which are of more popularity, and they push these particular apps to the on the upside on the ranking. Apart from that, I think downloads also play a very important role for ASO. And when you speak of downloads, basically you are speaking of the new customer acquisition. So we do a couple of strategies for download, including Facebook, Google, or third-party affiliate networks, but we do focus on a lot of downloads also. As far as Apple Store is considered, we have seen that now the market of India, if I talk specifically of healthcare, is quite moving towards towards Apple ecosystem, because of the new mobiles are coming, or the rates are getting slashed and all that, and we can't leave to afford the ASO on the App Store part. So both Google and the Apple Play Store SEO we take care of, and these strategies are quite important for us for getting the new customers on board. And if we want to remain in the competition of it can be for us or it can be for any of the brand, ASO or SEO or any other channel in the performance marketing is must, and these should go on a continuous basis.
Right.
Yeah.
So, you rightly mentioned about, both these app stores, right? Apple and, Google App Store. But before coming to that, what I really wanted to understand from a leading brand like you is, are the KPIs of, a generic performance marketing exercise and, for your AS exercise, do you look at similar kind of KPIs from both the exercises, or is it like totally different?
See, we divide KPIs basically. What we call it is a core KPI, and then we say it a industry specific KPI. The core KPIs basically remains same. When we say core KPIs of performance marketing, it can be a traffic, it can be downloads, it can be what is the engagement rate, what is the conversions. These are the core KPIs. But what about the funnel? That is how the customer is moving from one particular stage in the product to the another stage. The healthcare industry or a gaming industry or e-commerce industry will have a different flow or a journey altogether. So just to give you an example, in healthcare, there is a journey in which a person has to upload the prescription. So that particular portion is different from other industries, and we are measuring the KPIs for those particular things also, that how many drops are happening at this particular stage. And when we say the core KPIs almost remain the same. How many people have downloaded your app? How many people have opened your app? How many people have converted converted from the app to the bookings? How many people have dropped a lead on the app or on the website? So the core KPIs remain the same, but we look differently the industry specific KPIs, which gives us an indication that where we want to improve and how these KPIs can help us to grow and get a better ROI in terms of LTV or in terms of GMV.
Correct. Great point. Thanks, Priyank, on that. So, on that note, I'd like to move to Rana, right, and understand from his point of view, right, from the content genre point of view, right, and the users are very different over there. So, how do you define, your strategies as it comes to ASO vis-a-vis SEO and other performance metrics?
I'd like to zoom out a bit, Satrajit, because I'd like to concentrate on the core problem statement that any user growth persona faces across brands, right? So I think in today's world where VC money is really coming cheap, I think a lot of marketing dollars are going into paid user acquisition, and almost there's a Pareto. So 80% of the acquisition happens on paid mediums, whereas 20% acquisition happens on through organic channels. And as the brand progresses, I think the sign of a healthy brand is that how quickly they are able to change this Pareto into 80% organic acquisitions and 20% paid acquisitions, right? Lower the reliance on paid acquisitions. Now, so that's been our resolve as well. We are a very young brand. We are we just celebrated our first year anniversary, but we've on the user acquisition front, we've been extremely turbocharged in our efforts, right? So we've almost had more than 200 million installs till date from the internet population of 450 odd million. So you can imagine how aggressive we were in our user acquisition efforts. So coming to your question on ASO, my colleagues here or people here just mentioned the core principles of how product helps in bettering the ASO ranks and ranking your your app for the most relevant queries on the Play Store. We've also tried to do that, and I think a lot of industry. Apart from solving for the product core product KPIs, which are instrumental, right, like reviews, ratings, the product stability, lower crashes, all of those fundamentals being taken care of, ASO is incrementally being looked by performance marketing folks as an hackish approach. So they always try to keyword stuff their app names by a lot of keywords so that they start ranking up, right? But we've seen that that strategy for a large consumer brand like ours has not paid out really well, purely because there are two interesting perspectives. So the first perspective is that overt attention on traffic is not great, right? You always have to also focus on conversion. So if you basically make your app title or your meta description more conducive towards better conversions, that would really help. And the second aspect that we have focused on is that performance marketers are always looking at traffic as new user traffic. They often forget that there are a lot of reinstalling users or previously installed users who left you after a very small affair before, and they would like to reinstall you because uninstall rates are always trending up these days, right? So for you to maintain consistency with every app meta update that you are doing, you need to maintain your consistency and need not have an app which is drastically different in this version versus the previous version, so that the returning users also convert fairly well, because they are going to be the major converters, right? In a conversion Pareto, they will always be forming the larger proportion of your piece. So those two lessons have come in very handy for us. A, concentrating on conversion, B, concentrating on returning users while you continue to hack your way into getting higher traffic. So that those have been two lessons that have helped us the most.
It's probably one thing to acquire the consumer, but it's more important to hang on to him and basically give him new things, everything. So that's quite sounds of the point. So in that, on that note, I would really want to come to Karan, right, and understand from his point of view, right? So we have heard different brands and different app marketers today in this panel speaking out about ASO and how different aspects of ASO are being used and looked at by different brands. So in your experience, Karan, of working with brands closely and helping them out in their app store optimization strategy, how have you seen really the benefits that are being drawn up by brands and marketers as far as the ASO is concerned?
Oh, I think it's a very good question. Firstly, I would say that my experience of working with a lot of app marketers gives me an idea of a couple of issues that they face as well. And one of the biggest issues that they currently face is attribution. So how do they go back and attribute, is this an install coming from a paid source or an organic source, is the bigger question. And that's where the KPIs of ASO or the KPIs of SEO differ from a lot at the end of the day. So the KPIs of ASO are very different, and that's where the Google Play Store or the Apple App Store does not give enough and more information to an app marketer to take the right decisions. So just to give you an idea, the Google Play Store clubs organic as well as paid user acquisitions. And that's where app marketers have to take a call on what would be their strategy moving forward. So ASO, while it's great to go back and also maintain a general health of the brand or of the app, has to be viewed as a holistic practice at the end of the day. And that's where tools like AppTweak can go back and give you an idea of a couple of metrics like install estimates or even the traffic that's coming in. And we go back and see app marketers using and leveraging that specific data to go back and take decisions as well for their app. Secondly, on how app marketers are probably leveraging ASO as well, I see a lot of app marketers leveraging it in a way to go back and boost their paid acquisition as well. So I think Rana brought out a very interesting point with the Pareto principle as well, where companies in the first couple phases look at 80% of their downloads coming from paid UA and then try to go back and reverse that trend. And ASO can actually go back and help paid UA get the right results as well. And I see a lot of brands today going back and looking at cutting down costs of paid UA as a strategy. So if you go back and see that, oh, cost per install is coming down, or cost per user acquisition or cost per action is coming down, that's not a great metric to go back and track, because at the end of the day, you might be reducing the cost of your budgets, but the Play Store is still giving out views or even advertising on keywords for which you would have organically shown up as well. So I think those are some issues that app marketers do go back and face, and a couple of things that ASO can go back and solve if viewed as a holistic strategy.
Correct. That's an interesting point, because so far we have heard that maybe performance and SEO and ASO, the fundamentals and the KPIs quietly remain the same. But it's an interesting thing. It's an interesting take, and we'll definitely come back to this. So on that note, I want to come to Advit here. And basically understand from CoinDCX perspective, right? So I remember you mentioned about downloads. Vis-a-vis retention, vis-a-vis acquisition and getting new users, and there is a larger cause of basically making the users end users aware about the entire crypto universe, right? Where do you see performance helping you in all these aspects, and do you think ASO has a role to play over there?
So this is a category which very few people understand, right? I mean, there are new categories that come every year. Every year there's so many categories that come right now. But crypto is something that very few people really put in the effort to understand, leave alone understand, right? A lot of people think that okay, this is a fad. A lot of people think that this does not have fundamentals. A lot of people think that okay, this is not regulated, so we don't want to take the risk, and so on and so forth. So there are a lot of open-ended questions out there, and the learning part, the education part is definitely not there at this moment, right? I mean, if I look at the actual numbers, a single-digit percentage is where the awareness is. I'm not even talking about the education, like people who are aware about that there's something called crypto. Right. So education is very important. We have seen that. So we have something called DCX Learn, which is a purely a learning community where we teach people about crypto, where we have articles, where we have blogs, where we have news, where we have a lot of content that goes out. And we have seen that works fantastic. Right? In terms of people getting more comfortable, right? Because since this is a new category, no one wants to. No one is saying that I want to put in 5% of my portfolio or 10% of my portfolio into crypto. Right? That is not there. But people are comfortable saying that okay, let's try it out. Right? Okay, shall I add 100 rupees? Shall I add 500 rupees or 1,000 rupees? And then I will add on these particular coins. So for example, I will add on Bitcoin or Ethereum or Dogecoin or Matic or whatever I want. But the first bit happens, the first bit is happening, and that is happening. A lot of the credit of that goes to education, to learning, right? And there we see a direct impact. Right? For example, whenever there's a learning module that goes out, which can be on YouTube, which can be on our blogs, which can be with some educational partners and so on and so forth, we suddenly see a new set of audience who would come and who would our organics would suddenly jump up. Right? So that way our organic and our ASO are impacted as soon as there's a very relevant piece of information that goes out. Right? So for example, sometime back we launched a course, a very basic course saying that how do you invest your first 1 lakh rupees into crypto. Right? It's not even a course, it was a YouTube video, and which is still available, right? So that immediately saw a decent jump, which could be measured in terms of organic, in terms of course, we did the promotion of that in terms of we can't do YouTube ads, but we can promote it through influencer marketing and through other channels. But that content got us a good jump. So what we realize now is that right now education is the most important thing, right? I mean, we can give offers. That's not an issue, right? Anyone can give an offer, but that will not create a user who's going to stay with us for long term, right? It's only education. People have to start appreciating. I mean, our end goal is that people start looking at this as another asset class, right? So you're investing in mutual funds, you're also investing in crypto. You're investing in gold, you're also investing in crypto. that is where we want to reach, and we will reach there only with education. There's no other way.
Yeah, right. So, so is it like then, okay, in this case, learning and knowledge becomes your, one of the most important KPIs here, right? Which is then further accelerated with tools like ASO and some other performance marketing tools.
Yeah, so ASO increases, it improves with education, right? So when we teach, when we have a lot of content, whether it is in-app or outside app, that does not really matter. But the more we teach, the more we educate, the higher our rank goes, right? So that's how it's happening.
Correct. So it's always interlinked.
Correct.
Great. That's a great input. That's a new perspective altogether. So this leads me to Priyang actually. So Priyang, so we have very contrasting kind of brands who are in their journey today, because we have seen CoinDCX, which is kind of creating that category, and Tata OneMG is already in a burgeoning category and it's already leading. So do you see the same kind of KPIs as Advit mentioned when it comes to online medicines, so as to say?
Yeah, so almost yes, but yeah, definitely little bit difference is there, because we are a healthcare category which is quite critical. See, one thing that I want to share with you is that for us, performance marketing or ASO is playing a very important role in getting a new customer acquisition. That is, are we able to cut down our expenses, marketing expenses, and we are able to get a customer organically, and those customers definitely are of good quality. We have seen that a person who is getting converted organically has a higher LTV as compared to a person who is being acquired from third-party platforms, or for that matter, Facebook and Google. So one objective that ASO or performance marketing is playing for healthcare, or specifically Tata OneMG, is getting a quality, I would say quality customer on board. And these quality customers are giving us the repeat transactions month on month, because buying medicine is not a phenomena that you do once in a year. It is like on a monthly basis. Another objective, another KPI that, or another, I would say, the output basically the ASO gives us is that because see, ours is a very highly competitive environment. All the brands are reaching out to the same customer to buy the medicines. Now, what different should we do? So I think that's where the ASO or the performance marketing can play an important role. For example, we have the rating on Google like 4.5 with 10 million plus downloads. We make the page of the ASO quite dynamic. We change all the creatives. We keep on changing the content. So all these things make our app to come higher on the ranking as compared to the competition when a person is searching for a non-branded keywords. And this gives us an advantage that when a person is on the App Store or the Google Play Store, and when the person is landed onto the OneMG store page, the conversion to download basically gets increased. So I think these are the couple of things that ASO and performance marketing is helping, and those are the KPIs that we are currently looking upon.
Right. So it's interesting because I want to go back to your earlier point about Apple App Store and Google Store, Google Play Store, right? So how are you balancing the dynamics? I'm sure there are a lot of different dynamics that come into play when it comes to ASO and App Store optimization in these two leading stores. So your point on that?
Right. So definitely both Google Play Store algo and Apple Play Store algo are quite different, and they put weightage to multiple factors in a different weightage percentage weightage. For example, if you talk about Google, the Google plays a very important role when you say you have a good ratings or reviews. A Google Play gives you higher weightage when the person land onto your page. The creatives, the description of the app is quite apt. The app title is quite apt because these things make the customer coming onto the OneMG page on the Google Play Store and then getting converted. Converted means the downloading of the app. The app size also plays a very important role. When we come to this particular thing to Apple, Apple plays a very important role on the reviews part. So if any customer gives you a negative review on the Apple Play Store, they take it very seriously, and our ranking on Apple's store definitely goes down on that particular note. So we have a full-fledged team who takes care of all these aspects. Apple also gives you a very important importance weightage for your the screenshots that you are putting, how clear it is, whether the messaging on the screenshots are quite good or not. So we in Tata 1mg for Google Play Store and Apple Play Store, we both manage these Play Stores in terms of ASO, because if we manage it properly, it will definitely help us to get a good quality customer acquisition.
Right, that's a very interesting point, because the dynamics of, I have seen people struggling with the dynamics of app stores, different app stores, and that will be really handy for our audience. On that note, I would like to move to Rana here. Rana, from a content category perspective, right? Though this question is not specifically to a content brand, this is basically brand agnostic question, but how important is it for Josh, right, to take into consideration the growing concerns over data privacy and data safety that are there from the from users' point of view, right? And basically, how are you strategizing towards that point?
It's one of the most fundamental and the most important areas for us to focus, given the entire world's awakening towards user privacy, right? So I'd like to tell you a little bit more about, so we are often viewed as a platform where you can view short videos, but we have a very fundamental social aspect to ourselves, right? So we have two personas, basically. One, users who are consuming content in the form of short video, and another users who are creating that content in the first place, right? And a lot of our content is user generated, so we will have to focus on those two personas very differently. So on both these aspects, user privacy takes center stage in terms of even our product roadmap finalization, right? So we have a host of features, right? From on the consuming front, anybody who creates an account with us, we use the most state of the art security measures to be able to not divulge that information anywhere and it being not visible to anyone. So all the user PII is being extremely is being taken care of with extreme care. But beyond that, we also allow users to connect their social logins like Google or Facebook and explore or find their friends from those networks onto Josh. So if their friends have Josh accounts, then they will be also able to find and follow their friends on Josh, so that they can get access to their content, they can like their videos, they can comment on them, and they can share with their friends and family as well. So we allow for you at a very granular level what form of content can they access, whether anybody you are following will be able to access your the videos that you have created by default, or they will be only with every video upload. We allow the user to configure whether it will be available to their friends only, whether it will be available privately to only them because they are in the editing stage, or it will be available publicly so that we can use it to broadcast it to the entire app's user base, right? So those aspects, we allow users to delete their account at any point in time, and there is no trace kept whatsoever. So that is also an option available. On the creator ecosystem side as well, we allow fundamental things like whether somebody will be able to create a duet with that creator or not. Somebody will be able to share their videos outside of the platform or not. So yeah, those fundamental things, because we have that moral responsibility being a social app, we take care of both the personas to the extreme level. And I don't think we are there yet fully, but we are in terms of our thought processes. We are in terms of execution. It will take about a quarter or so for us to realize all those aspects.
Right, probably it's more important for you because you guys have so many stakeholders in this entire industry, because
Yeah.
there are users, there are creators, and then there are the I mean you guys yourself, right? So that's really important. So Karan, I would want to come to you and understand from your perspective, right? So we have heard about approaches from all brands here, right? And how performance and especially ASO is helping them in all these aspects, right? So if you can help us understand from the real world scenario, right? How do brands approach ASO from a long-term perspective, right? And a long tail perspective, so that it's not a stop gate kind of a solution.
Sure, absolutely. So of course, there are two ways in which generally brands go back and approach ASO, especially in the beginning. Generally, we go back and see a lot of brands which had a great SEO presence also go ahead and start off apps, or only completely app-based businesses as the business model as well. So I would say that brands go back and view ASO as a strategy which can go back and help them reduce the cost of acquisition. Also go back and help them speak to an audience which is generally not very keen on paid acquisition as well. And definitely also showcase their entire gamut of products and services to them. I'd actually like to add on to Advit's points as well, where he mentioned that they actually have an academy and they have certain videos as well, and it generally resonates to an audience that is fairly new in this entire ecosystem, and ASO can help communicate that better. So generally a brand like the ones at which Advit is working would go back and use it as a strategy to communicate with each and every point, where they go back and mention it as a part of their screenshots, as a part of their feature graphics as well, because that generally becomes the unique selling point for them at the end of the day. Also adding on to Priyang's points as well, where there are users who can go back and can be acquired from a lot of non-branded keywords, and the traffic can be increased on the app. That's generally another strategy that brands are trying to go back and adopt, because they do want to go back and focus on non-branded keywords and get a good hold over there as well. ASO or even apps are generally preferred by a lot of companies as a business model because of the kind of engagement and retention that they can go back and give to the business also. So I think those are some ways in which, of course, app marketers and ASO is helping brands to go back and work on it. But categorically speaking, I see two ways in which brands function today. One of them is that brands generally don't care about ASO. They want to go back and leverage their brand strength and their paid user acquisition to go back and drive growth. And what they're currently missing out, of course, is localization and the kind of organic reach that they could have generated without a lot of paid acquisition already. So actually, to be very honest, there are some brands who go ahead and localize their apps also for the Hindi speaking market. And there are custom listings available for the same as well. And that's where they go back and miss out, because their communication is very fair and simple, saying, this is what we do with a brand name and you need to download us. And the second way of going back and looking at it are brands that are heavily investing into ASO and SEO based on their business models. They're going back and localizing their efforts, localizing their creatives for the kind of market that they're servicing, and then also reaching out to audiences with generic keywords or the right keywords as well. And honestly, I would see ASO as a superpower, because you can go ahead and get into the mind of a specific audience and understand what are they really typing on the Google Play Store and what are people searching for. I see a lot of news agencies today going back and looking at ASO and saying that that's the kind of news that people want to go ahead and read about. So I think that superpower needs to be leveraged by brands today to look at ASO as a strategy, and then look at localizing their efforts to each and every audience that they're trying to go back and service.
Great note. So actually, on that note, I would really want to, open this stage up for some, future gazing, right? And maybe, come to all of you again, and very briefly, if you can say foresee, or if you can, very briefly tell me about how the future looks like for performance marketing lens from the app marketer's purview, right? So how do you see the future of performance marketing growing? for your apps / for your businesses? And as a marketer, how do you see the future? So if you can start with Advit first. Advit.
Sure. So I think there are a few areas which are growing, right? I mean, all of us understand over here what are the main channels in terms of Facebook, Google, affiliates, alliances, biddable, programmatic, and so on, right? All of us understand that. But the channel that is growing very, very fast is it's essentially brand alliances, right? I mean, they exist even today, but that is getting much, much stronger in terms of brands working together and brands partnering with each other so that they can help each other grow their user base, right? The second area which is developing a lot, which is growing a lot, is not so much from a new marketing channel perspective, but something from in-app changes, right? So, for example, what's happening is that a lot of apps are adopting to a lot of gamification and engagement. So if you look at Swiggy has launched something on Matchday Mania, right? If you look at Flipkart, during the Big Billion Day, it has Flipkart Tambola. If you look at Amazon has spin the wheel, right? If you look at Cred of course has those games, and it has ways to redeem that. So that system is growing a lot because that creates a lot of pull from various sources. So it is more from a communication perspective, not really a channel perspective. Okay, so that communication is changing where people are getting attracted to play games. Everyone has seen the growth of gaming industry, and everyone has realized that that is very, very important. The other thing which is also becoming a pull, not just to get new users, but also to get return users to come again and again to the app, is creation of in-app tokens or in-app currencies. Right, a lot of brands are focusing on that now because they when they give that currency, when they give that tokens, then there's a reason for people to come back again and again and use that for further transactions, use that for engagements, use that to get vouchers and so on and so forth. So that is again from a in-app perspective. Right? So I'm focused more on development inside the app to get users more. People are focusing more and more. I mean, I'm pretty sure that very soon a lot of the top apps will have everything, and I won't be surprised if they start hosting their own OTTs inside those apps, where there are videos, where there's content, where there's games, so end to end, and then there's a currency that flows across all of that, and it becomes a closed ecosystem to do various activities, right? So that's where I think overall app is going. And I mean, I didn't answer your question specifically for ASO, but this is essentially where I see the future of apps, and that is how communication will be shaped, and all these factors will start getting important. So ASO will also have to start measuring all of these.
Correct. So all these will lead to the these tools getting implemented for a better result in that sense. So great point actually. I love the point about OTT being integrated in the app ecosystem as well. So Priyang, your call. So what's your view on the future?
Future is definitely very, very lucrative and bright, because we brands, the e-commerce brands, are totally dependent on digital marketing only, or performance marketing only, along with the brand marketing. We are very much less present on the offline space, and I have seen a lot of new innovations are coming up. Some of them have already been told by Advit, but I just want to add on more innovations that performance marketing is seen nowadays. Is like getting into DMP is a new thing which is coming on place. That is, you are able to understand your customer better, you are able to target your customer better, or sometimes you are able to get the customer from your partner brand. Suppose, for example, a real estate company will definitely be interested in buying the customer base of the luxury cars, or the bank home loan customers, because these are like quite work in synergy with each other. Then I have seen upcoming campaigns on WhatsApp, because WhatsApp is nowadays is used by each and everyone, and WhatsApp is used extensively for marketing in multiple ways. We also in Tata 1mg use WhatsApp marketing quite a lot and in depth, and we are getting a good results from that. Then we have also launched a couple of loyalty programs, because in healthcare loyalty programs are quite important. Launching these loyalty programs and stitching these loyalty programs with the performance marketing campaigns are giving us a very good quality customer acquisition. Concept of chatbots, the AI-based chatbots, as Swiggy and other players are doing it quite in a good way. We are also trying to get onto the customer grievances handling through these chatbots. We are trying to reduce the time of customer getting on board. So once you drop a lead, you will be definitely addressed within 5 minutes or 10 minutes, and your lead will be closed there and there itself. So all those things, I think, in marketing, in performance marketing, are coming up, and we are sitting here. There might be more things which might be in the development phase and might come after a few months. But I think performance marketing definitely will play a very important role, and a lot of brands are dependent and leveraging performance marketing for their growth.
Great point, Priyang. Actually, it's a very dynamic medium, and as you said, as we are speaking, there might be 10 new developments in this sector. So yeah, we are all on toes on that. Rana, your take on this feature?
Yeah, sure. I'd basically, if I were to look at the future, I would say that performance marketing or growth marketing in general, it's basically going through a journey where it will eventually play the most important role in deciding the growth product roadmap for any company, right? So I think there's a finite limit to how intelligently you can buy advertising online, and that will have its own, like, that will die its own death, right? With UAC, with Facebook's AAA app automation ads, I don't think human beings will be allowed to optimize any advertising by anymore, and it will incrementally become more machine learning based. I think the role or value to be added is more into manufacturing these growth loops by identifying key personas. So the key identification of personas is very, very important. And right from what Karan was mentioning, that if you create the right growth loop to get organic activity in terms of ratings and reviews on your app, right? At what moment do you present that option to the user is very critical for whether your rating will be a 4.5 or a rating will be a below 4. So right from that to like for us, it has been about we basically cater to a very expressive demographic, right, which is India. So we are the country that took down Google servers, but due to our good morning messages. So for us, download and share is a very key aspect that of the app. Even though the app services users and internet is almost omnipresent right now, but users are filled with expressions and they want to express by means of downloading and sharing it with their own groups, right? So we've enabled downloading and sharing within the Josh ecosystem. A lot of it was happening anyways outside, but those kind of growth loops by sharing that content within the Josh app, so that other users who have the Josh account can do not need to go to WhatsApp and check, and can consume content there itself, and they can then go on to consume more and more content which is akin to the one they got shared with them. So stuff like that, stuff like manufacturing those growth loops, I think, because we are at the we are at the forefront of understanding these personas and buying media, we will be able to add the most amount of value there. So I see the future of performance marketing to completely break the silo with product and being in charge of the growth product roadmap is what I see.
Interesting take, Rana, because you have really kind of opened the box over here about how the future is going to be shaped in that sense. Karan, your take. So so you all heard from all our brand representatives of how they are looking at future and how basically performance marketing that leads to ASO is kind of slated for the future. Your take on both the points.
Sure. I think over the next 5 or 10 years, we're going to see a boom in the number of apps that we have. And generally, for a lot of apps which were having a great download share in certain categories, I see them coming down because of the kind of competition that we're trying to go back and see in a lot of different categories. So I definitely go back and see a lot of new apps, a lot of new businesses coming up very shortly. And I think because of the same competition or the kind of market reaction that it would have, apps would have to go back and rethink on what would be their app store acquisition strategy as well, be it ASO or paid acquisition at the end of the day. So I see more apps going back and looking at their basics of having account acquisition or even user acquisition, as well as conversion and retention being sorted out. And I would say that already, and this might be something that can happen in the future, is that deterministic attribution will become completely obsolete. So today, brands are already struggling to go back and identify if a user came from a campaign, did it come from brand awareness, or did they come from organic search? And I go back and see that being completely dead. Like Rana mentioned, how Facebook as well as Google USC will automatically take over a lot of our paid campaigns. So I see a lot of focus very soon being on user behavior, user reaction to any change on the UI UX, as well as the store listings as well, being a key part or a key input as well on how apps go back and strategize user acquisition at the end of the day as well.
Right, great point, actually, Karan. So, on that note, ladies and gentlemen, we have come to an end of today's session. I'm sure we have just scratched the surface in terms of performance marketing that leads to app store optimization as so far as app businesses is concerned. As the app economy grows in India, we will see a lot more happening, in the app store optimization space, and it's very dynamic, as Priyang mentioned, and so a lot of things are yet to be unfolded. So all those things can be discussed the next time when we meet. I would really like to thank all my panelists here. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for taking out time today and helping our audiences gain a little bit better understanding about performance marketing as a whole, and especially ASO when it comes to app businesses. Thank you so much. Until next time, stay tuned to ETBrandEquity. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone, for getting into the detail of the topic and discussing every possible aspect. Certainly a session full of learnings. Now let's move to the next session. Just a reminder to share your experience and session highlights on social media using the hashtag ET Performance Marketing.